What a freaking world we live in, huh? You go to a social media platform, you click on a golf instruction video, and you get golf instruction. I mean, I did 16 minutes of golf instruction, and you would have thought the world was ending. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to My Golf DNA, where I help you get better at the game of golf by giving you information as to what you're doing, why you're doing it, and most importantly, I teach you how you're going to get things done. Now today we're going to be focusing on a drill that's going to spin off of the drill where I talked about not turning your body through the hitting area. Today I'm going to teach you how to use your trail hand and arm as a way to be able to add thrust and speed to your release. Today's going to be a good day. It's going to be exciting, and I know a lot of you at home don't like long-winded videos, but guess what? This is a channel that's designed to give you all that information. So if you don't like added information, then you got a couple options here. Number one, you can go down in the description below, or you can even look at the first comment, and I'll put timestamps in there that will discuss where you need to start the video so that you can get right into the meat and potatoes of the program. But for those of you that want to sit through the information, you can sit through the information and go along with it so that you have a better intellectual understanding as to what you're doing and why you're doing it. Now, the other option that you have, and there's absolutely no shortage of these channels available to you on YouTube and Instagram or whatever social media platform of your choice, you can simply click out of this video, but make sure you hit the dislike button on the way out the door and go watch one of those other videos. It's not gonna hurt my feelings, okay? I promise you that. You got it? Okay, cool. That movement right there is exactly the movement that you're gonna learn here today. And that movement has three very specific checkpoints inside of it that I'm about to walk you through. Now, before I do that, it is very important that you understand that when you start working on this throwing motion, it needs to be linked up with what you're doing with your legs and your hips. If you start throwing your trail hand and arm to add speed and it's out of sequence, you're gonna create ball striking chaos. Very important that you keep your legs and your hips moving as I outline. Now, these three very specific checkpoints that you're gonna be looking for are going to be from the shoulder down through the hand. Now, the first checkpoint being is very much like what we talked about in the first video. We want the shoulders to be square. But now what I want you to do is make sure that this trail shoulder is in a neutral position. What I mean by neutral is I don't want your shoulder to be rounded forward, and I don't want it to be shrugged up to your ear. A little lesson in biomechanics here is that your scapula is going to serve as a link for you to be able to transfer energy from your trunk and your core. That goes for any hitting or throwing sport. So you want to make sure that your shoulder is in a neutral position, not rounded and not shrugged. The second position that you're going to be looking for is you want to make sure that your elbow pit is pointed directly out in front of you when the club is snapping into the bag. The third position, you want to make sure that the wrist and the forearm are pointed directly down the target line. I don't want to see the wrist pointed behind you, and I don't want to see the wrist pointed out in front of you. So you have trail shoulder, or shoulders being square, trail shoulder being in a neutral position. You have trail elbow pit being pointed out in front of you, trail wrist and forearm being pointed down the target line. You get that position right, then you've got a really good fighting chance to be able to add speed the right way. Now, how I like to practice this at first is I like to do this without a golf club. I like to have the impact bag set up in a way where the front edge of it would be directly in line with where the golf ball position should be, which should be off of the logo on our chest. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make just some small little swings here, just getting comfortable with making a throwing motion, but keeping our shoulder from rounding forward and opening up, keeping it from shrugging, and keeping our elbow pit pointed out in front of us, and thinking about snapping the club head down into the ball or into the bag without changing the position of the wrist and the forearm. And all while we sync that up with the legs and the hips. So doing little small swings, just like I'm doing here, is a great way for you to be able to learn that movement. You can even do this with a golf ball in your hands. A lot of times people like to do this drill because it helps kind of relate to a throwing motion, which is easier for them to be able to sync things up. So you can make these little swings where you clear the hips and you're going to be throwing the golf ball down at the bottom of the bag, and you're going to be making sure that the shoulder stays right where it is, elbow pit stays pointed out in front of you, and you're snapping the ball down into the bag. So just little small swings. Getting comfortable, making sure that you back check those positions. Once you've done a handful of reps, I'm not going to tell you exactly how many reps I want you to do that are done dry without the golf club, because remember, when you're going through the processes of without the club, what you're trying to do is create good movement that you're aware of, And then you want to quickly bring the golf club back in the mix. Now that I've got the golf club back here, I like to kind of make these little small swings where I'm going to be about 50-50. I've got the club at about parallel to the ground. I've got my elbow pit pointed out in front of me here. Okay, I've got my wrist set enough to be able to support the club in this position. Now I'm going to open my hip up and I'm going to throw the club head down in the bag, and I'm going to make sure that my shoulders are square, make sure that my shoulders down and depressed, make sure my elbow pit's pointed out in front of me, and my wrist and forearm are pointed down the target line. And you want to be able to do this for several reps where you don't screw it up. So once you start to get proficient with this, that's when you can start picking up the pace and you can start making some fuller swings. Now remember, like we talked about in the stop turning your body drill, we're going to be doing kind of a short to long sort of swing format. As you start getting proficient with that, then you can start turning up the gas here and you can start making some more width and rotation. So let me walk you through exactly how I want to do this. So I'm going to take the impact bag. So I'm going to do an entire set for you. Remember, when I do things without the golf club, it's just to create awareness of the movements. So I'm going to take the club and I'm going to set it over to the side here. Okay, I'm going to put my lead hand behind my back. I've got the front edge of the bag in line with the logo on my shirt. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my shoulder comes down, it's depressed. My elbows, pit's pointed out in front of me, my wrist is there. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to get to that spot. Okay, and you can feel some downward thrust there, like you're trying to make the club go down as your hips are clearing out. And you want to check these positions, make sure that they're right. Okay, now bring the club back in. Same thing. Okay, little small swings. Okay. Shoulder, elbow pit, wrist. Okay. Really start trying to feel like you're snapping the club head down into the bag. Notice how my hips are still clearing out. Then I'm checking the positions. So you want to make sure the sequence is good. Check the position of the shoulder, the elbow pit, and the wrist. So you want to do several reps until you really start getting the hang of it. Then move the golf ball or the golf bag out of there. Bring your golf ball back in and get ready to rock and roll. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to be working off of a 2-to-1. I'm going to be doing 2 practice reps, 1 golf ball. I'm still visualizing what I just worked on here. I should be really proficient with the stuff that I worked on earlier in the week, and now we're going to start trying to hit some golf balls, trying to get it to transfer. Okay. Okay, feels really fast on short swings. Okay, so how we're going to practice this is, again, we're going to take the impact bag and we're going to position it so that it's directly in line with the logo on our chest. And we're just going to start out by making some small swings, getting it into the correct spot. Now, what I like to do is kind of get my arm positioned in the way and get my hips in the right spot. Give yourself kind of a roadmap as to where you're going to be trying to go. Shoulders are square, shoulder is neutral, elbow pit's pointed out in front of me, wrist is pointed down the target line, hips are open. Now I'm going to come back to that spot. Okay, making sure all of the positions are correct. Okay. You want to feel like you're throwing the club head down into the ball or into the bag. Once you get the hang of that, bring the club back in. Little small swings at first. Okay, making sure you feel the hips clearing out of the way. Check the position of the shoulders to make sure they're square. Make sure that the trail shoulder is in a neutral position. Elbow pit's pointed out in front of you. Trail wrist and forearm are pointed directly down the target line. Repeat. Okay. Now you know that you've got the ability to be able to add some thrust to the mix here. Okay. Move the bag out of there. Bring a golf ball in. Let's do a 1-to-1. So 1 practice swing, trying to feel it. Okay, and then we're going to hit a golf ball. Okay, I'm really focusing on feeling and seeing those positions in my brain. Okay. Ooh. Club is trying to slip out of my hands there. I guess I should put a glove on, huh? So there you have it. Now you have something that can help you build on the slowing your body down and adding speed the right way. Now your hands and your arms are independent. Now you can add speed and efficiency back to your golf swing without having to put your body in harm's way. Now, remember, if you're new to the channel, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. We love having you here as part of the My Golf DNA family. Do us also a big favor, hit the like button below, and if you have any questions or comments for me, please post that stuff below. I'll help you out as best I possibly can. Let's get out there, let's start playing some great golf.